Welcome to a color compare of the contrast and speed paint flesh or skin colors. So what I did here was I took all of the contrast and speed paint and found the ones that had either flesh or skin in the name that were not obviously orcs, okay? So we've got a lot of green colors for the orc skins. This is more of what we'd call maybe like a human skin kind of thing. Here's a kind of an interesting take on this, I think. I was very surprised by this. So, Army Painter has one skin tone, one thing they call Crusader Skin. And it's this very kind of pale, sort of, human skin tone. Citadel has three. They all call theirs Flesh, which doesn't really matter. But they have Fyreslayer, Guilliman, and Darkoath varieties. And looking at them, I think we might be able to kind of put them in order here. You'll notice that they're very, very, very close. Now, this is something I thought was kind of interesting at first, because most other colors, if they were this close, I would say, well, these are all close, any of these work the same, get whatever one you want. But I think there's some subtle nuances here that are really affected by the use of this, which is for skin tones, where if you are going for a certain skin tone and you use a paint that is either too light or too dark, you kind of lose that effect. So here we have, Guilliman Flesh, there's maybe the lightest one, and then Darkoath and Fyreslayer, a little bit darker there. Those are very close, Darkoath and Fyreslayer. So we have these four colors. The other thing you'll notice is the Army Painter Crusader Skin has more of like I want to call it a pink undertone. And that's a real thing that if you talk to people who are really into matching like makeup foundation, they'll tell you, oh, you got to have your your underlying skin tone, you got to take that into effect when you're doing that. And so if you want to kind of mimic that on your models, you have an opportunity here to do that with that Crusader Skin. The thing that I think is kind of disappointing in this is, even if I buy all three of the Citadel and the Army Painter color, I don't have a lot of diversity in my forces as far as skin tone goes. And so I think what we're going to be looking at is bringing in some different tones to kind of round that out. And I want to kind of show that and give a few tips. So let's take one last look at these, and let's say, if I owned none of these, which would I buy? And that's kind of the question we're going to answer here, because I don't think that's a simple one. Because normally, like I said, I would say just buy one, they're all basically the same. But I don't think that's quite true here. First thing we want to do is this. I'm going to bring in old color swatches. This is Pallid Bone and Skeleton Horde. Now I'm just going to grab a representative sample of the ones on the bottom just to show you this. You'll notice that while these are definitely light and kind of tan colors, they have a very yellow or maybe even a slight green undertone to them that definitely make them look more like bone, which is good, right? Pallid Bone and Skeleton Horde, we want that to be a bone color. But it very much makes it look like not a skin type of color. See how Fyreslayer Flesh just kind of has that warmth to it that neither of those really have, even though they are fairly yellow. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. So if we're looking at, can I just get Pallid Bone and use that for skin tone? I don't know that I would. I think the subtlety there is going to make it look weird. Okay, what if I want to go darker? These are all very light skin tones. What if I want to go darker? And so what I've done is I've grabbed out a few that I think have that similar underlying warmth to them. And so here are the browns that I picked. And actually I have one brown here that is kind of not like the other. So hardened leather, we're getting into that kind of maybe a little bit darker, though it is a hair on that maybe yellower side. I'm thinking that could maybe work, though it's not quite much darker than something like a Fyreslayer Flesh there. So I don't know that you want to just kind of grab any old brown and try to use it. What I do see here is something like this Gorgrunta fur that looks maybe a little more in line with a darker version of this Fyreslayer Flesh. You kind of see that? At least that's what I think. I think that might work as a good, like, darker skin tone. And then if you want to go real dark for your army, which I definitely have a couple of folks that I've done this with, my favorite is the Scigore Brown. And I brought dark wood here to kind of show you. You see the difference in those two? Scigore Brown has that warmth to it. It's that kind of, it's a human warmth. The dark wood, not a bad color either for a real dark skin tone, does not have as much of that warmth, which you're not going to see all the time, and so I think both of these work pretty well. I prefer the Scigore Brown just because I think it brings a little bit of that humanity into the flesh that we're trying to paint. It's so hard. I do not like painting skin tones that aren't orcs, very honestly. Alright, so if I wanted to paint my army, what would I get of these? And the answer is I really like this Crusader Skin as a starting point. What I think I would do is I think I would get Crusader Skin and probably Fyreslayer Flesh. Those are kind of my two favorites out of here. I don't think I need Guilliman Flesh if I have Crusader Skin, though that is kind of neat to have a different tone. I don't think I need Darkoath Flesh if I have Fyreslayer Flesh. I think I could go with these two, and then I would supplement that with, some darker tones as well. Put the Scigore Brown there. And that looks like you've got a pretty nice group of folks on the battlefield with those three colors. So there you go. That is my take on the colors that they have called either flesh or skin that aren't orcs. I hope this was useful to you if you're picking flesh colors for your army, maybe painting some helmetless Space Marines, or let me know what you're painting. I know this comes up probably a lot less in Warhammer, maybe more in other game systems where there's not so many helmets. So let me know what you're painting with these colors. I'd love to hear what you're working on. Always take care. Thanks for watching. Let's get gaming.